Lesson 8 of Stewardship and Management. Lessons 1 through 6, I made us examine ourselves, and hopefully you took a good hard look in the mirror and examined yourself. Lesson 7, we started a transition, still talking about stewardship and management, but applying a kingdom principle that is the foundation to the kingdom, and that is the law of sowing and reaping. A principle and a law that you, by simply obeying that law, your life would be changed. That's just one law. So these next 3 lessons, we're going to continue on this sowing and reaping. Doesn't get any easier. Okay? Doesn't get any easier. It's giving you the warning now. Giving you the warning. So there'll be a lot of oh me's and oh my's maybe. Okay? So just be prepared. We're going to open up with 4 sets of scriptures, all found in Deuteronomy. The first one we're going to is chapter 11, verse 26. Behold, we got a lot of scripture, sit down. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if ye obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this day. And a curse if you will not obey the commandments of your Lord God, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other gods which ye have not known. Jumping to Deuteronomy verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all these commandments which I command thee, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Jumping to verse 15 in that same chapter. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Jumping to chapter 30, verse 15. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. And that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply, and the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it. But if thine heart turn away, so that thou wilt not hear, but shall be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I denounce you unto this day, that ye shall surely perish, and that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land whither thou possessest over Jordan to go possess it. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you. I call heaven and earth as a witness that this day that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thy and thy seed may live. Which goes to my title, Brother Ron. Life is choice driven. Life is choice driven. Why is it you have people who can weather the storms of life much greater than others? Some people can go through a storm effortlessly while others fall apart. There are those who can go through hell and never flinch in their faith. And then there are those who can experience just a tiny little bit of turbulence and forget there's even a God. And because there's a minor setback, they forget all their scriptures and they forget everything. Why is it you have two completely opposite people? One who can weather a storm, one who can go through it, one who can understand it, one who can learn, and another one who just can't bear anything. What makes the one person refuse to get up, refuse to let failure happen in their life, compared to the other one that throws in the towel the minute it hits? What makes one person, when they fail, their launching pad, and the other person scared to do anything because they may fail? Why do we have these two completely separate people that when trouble comes, they both act completely opposite? Why do you have one person who needs to be encouraged while the other one needs no encouragement? Why do you have some people that you got to push and you can do it and oh, you're doing so good and oh, you just keep it up and I'm so proud of you? Why is it you have to do that to adults? That's something you do with kids, not adults. But there are those that you got to push and you got to encourage and you got to call them to make sure they're going to be here. And you got to, hey, are you still doing this? Are you still doing that? Are you keeping this promise? And you got to encourage them and you got to keep encouraging them. These people are externally motivated. And typically, external motivated people will not excel in what we call life. Why? Why do these types of people, why do they not very often, it's not typical that they advance in life and they do something? Because they must constantly get encouraged to do something. And they can't do A, B, and C because no one's there to encourage them to do A, B, and C. So if someone's not there to push them and encourage them and and woo them and continue to push them and encourage them, then they're just not going to do it. People who are externally motivated. Now, this is a very good moment that we need to examine our lives. It's not getting any better. I'm telling you now. Externally motivated. The people who can't weather a storm. The people who throw in the towel. The people who forget there's even a God the minute they get a cold and forget a scriptures. Externally motivated. Then you have people who are internally motivated. These are the people that do things without being asked to do it. These are the people that can weather the storm. These are the people that do it when no one's watching, and they're not doing it for an applause, but they're doing it because they can encourage themselves. They don't need an encouragement committee. They don't need a pastor calling them and trying to make sure they're doing this. They don't need somebody externally pushing them because they can push themselves. Internally motivated. You can perform a task without anybody telling you to perform the task. Internally motivated. You excite yourself. You are happy doing things. Externally motivated people means we have to excite you to do something. Externally motivated, you got to excite someone to give. You got to excite someone to sacrifice. You got to excite them just to do what you need them to do. Internally motivated, they don't need someone to push them. They don't need anybody to encourage them. They say, I'm going to do it whether nobody does it or not, because I myself and my own encouragement. And here's how this works. Someone who is internally motivated will get frustrated with someone who's externally motivated. Internally motivated people get frustrated with externally motivated people. Why? Because the internal motivators don't want to encourage them. They don't want to push. You can do it. If I can do it, you should be able to. They don't want to do that. And then on the flip side, externally motivated people get frustrated with the internally motivated people because they're not encouraging them to do what they need to do. And this is what makes it worse. Here's really the kicker. Most leadership is internally motivated. Most leadership got to the leadership position because they were internally motivated. And then what happens is you have externally motivated people under them. So the boss gets frustrated because he says, I should be able to give you this. I don't want to have to come micromanage you. I don't want to have to come and tell you to do you do this and do that. But then you have these external people that just go to the boss like, well, what do you want me to do? What do I need to do? How do I need to do this? Why? Because they need someone there to tell them what they need to do. Now, it's not necessarily bad to be externally motivated. But you have got to know and look in the mirror with self-management to understand I'm not always going to get an encouragement committee. I'm going to have to push myself. Not only will someone not always be in your corner encouraging you your entire life, there will be more people who discourage you to do what you need to do. So now you have a double whammy because you don't have anybody encouraging you, and then you have all these people discouraging you. Well, if you're externally motivated, you're in a bad way and you're not going to advance very much in life because you need someone to encourage you, but you got more discouragement than encouragement. So what happens? You stop pursuing. What happens? You stop doing this. Well, no one's there to do this for me. No one's there to push me, so why should I try? But you must be able to push past. Whether someone says something or they don't say anything. You must be able to push past the obstacles and the barriers that life throws your way, regardless if someone is behind you pushing you. Yes, is it easier when someone's encouraging you? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean you rely on the encouragement to be disciplined in yourself to do what you know you should be doing. When something happens to you, remember, we had our 4 changes. Changes that happen. When something happens to you, are you still going to pursue? When something happens around you, are you still going to pursue? When something happens in you, are you still going to pursue? When something happened that's your fault, are you still going to pursue? Maybe even an enemy did do it, but are you still going to pursue? Okay, maybe life just did happen. Are you still going to pursue, or do you need an encouragement committee to keep pushing? Self-management. Stewardship of your life.
There it is.
Now, this is why the Spirit is so important. This is why having God's Spirit is critical. Okay, because the purpose of God's Spirit is to be a helper. It's to be a comforter. It's to be an advocate. It's to lead and guide in all truth. Why is it so important? Because life is choice driven. You have choices every day. You have choices that will bring you blessings, and you have choices that will bring you curses. You have that choice, not God. You get to choose this day. Choose you this day. You get to choose. Do you choose blessings? Do you choose curses? Do you choose to marry this person or that person? Do you choose to give, not give? Do you choose to sacrifice, not sacrifice? Well, there's blessings and curses with each decision you make. How do I respond when Sister Susie says that? I can have a choice whether a blessing comes, or I can respond where a curse comes. I get the choice. That's where we must, that's just the natural. Now shift it in the spiritual sense. Choose you this day. The commands of God are not there just to do right and wrong for the sake of getting in God's good graces. That is not what they are for. It is not a checklist to make sure that you hopefully one day make it to heaven. They are keys at your disposal. And if you ignore the key, you get locked out of the blessing. Now, curses are not black magic. It is not a witch casting a spell, an enchantment of some supernatural power. Okay, it's not if you are cursed, there's a black cloud over you and always bad things happen in your life. That is not what cursed means in this sense. Curse simply means you are locked out of a blessing. And if you cannot get to a blessing, you are therefore cursed because you cannot access the blessing. So when there's no ability to access the blessing, you are cursed. Now, Jesus gave us the power of choice. And if you want your life forever changed, the choice is not up to him. It's not up to anybody else but you. That means you don't have to wait for his second coming. You can change it now. Those are the keys that we have been given for his kingdom. If you want heaven experience on earth, you have that ability. It's not, well, we're just fighting through this wicked world and everything's just hell and we're going. No, you have a choice if you want to experience heaven while everyone else experiences hell. You get that choice. You have the choice to unlock heaven. Or you have the choice to experience hell. Life is choice driven. It is not a decision that a devil gets to make. It's not the decision God makes for you. It is not a decision that any other person gives you. You and you alone have the choice. And Jesus did more. I say this a lot because I'm trying to drive home a point. Jesus didn't just give you fire insurance. Okay? Believe it or not, he allowed you to get put back in the position in which Adam was, having dominion in this earth, allowing your words to flow like he did. You get the power. You get the freedom to choose blessing or a curse. Now here's where we run into John chapter 1 verse 14. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and behold his glory, the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of and. Now, this is where we are at as a church as a whole. Okay, remember, I bundle all of us up together. All denominations, all of us are the body. Whether you agree with it or not, we are all the body. If your foundation is Jesus Christ, all these non-essentials do not matter. So here's what the body is right now. The body is nothing but grace, grace, grace. Yes, Jesus was and is full of grace. Amen. But he's also full of truth. Yes. And there's a balance that you've got to understand. Yes, you serve a gracious God. And it does not matter how much you mess up. It does not matter where you have gone. It does not matter what type of sin there is. Grace is there. Where sin abounds, grace much more abounds. Okay, it does not matter the sin. It doesn't matter the circumstances. God's grace will always outweigh the sin. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter how deep you go. God's grace is still more than the sin. See, but we like to think, well, where there's sin, there's no grace. The grace always overrides the sin. Always. That's what the cross was for. That's why Jesus had to shed the blood. That grace is always there. It always outweighs sin. You should never worry about that. Never. But he also wants you to have truth with the grace. Once he's delivered you, that is where, remember, the difference between deliverance and freedom. Jesus delivered you, but you are not free. Once he's delivered you, that's where truth comes in. The grace is what delivered you. Right. But in order to get free, you got to get truth. That's the light that shines in the dark places. You got to have knowledge. It's not going back to what he delivered you from, but walking in a life full of abundance by the choices you make. You sow choices today that will bring you a harvest tomorrow. That goes for all the churches. See, we teach grace, but there's also truth. Grace will outweigh the sin. But you need to get some knowledge and truth on certain matters. That way you can live an abundant life. But here's where other churches go. Instead of being on the grace side, we like to swing all the way over to this truth side. So then we have this rigid way to make sure that you stay good to make it to heaven. And you have this message that says you got to perform A, B, and C just to make sure you don't miss the rapture. And you got to make sure this truth comes and this truth comes. But they miss the grace part. And the truth that's preached is really nothing more than a Pharisaical mindset trying to perform in rituals to make sure you stay good enough for God. Grace outweighs it every time. But will you live with truth? Because life is choice driven. If life is choice driven, you have to look in the mirror and come to the understanding that you can only blame yourself. That's not to say a change happened around you. That's not to say a change happened to you. That's not changing to say a change happened in you. Okay? There may be things that were bad that happened, but you get the choice on how you pursue and keep going. And we like that statement, but that puts the responsibility back on us. Because we have to sit here and say, okay, life gave me this. How did I respond to that? Did I blame? Did I point fingers? Did I give up? How did you respond? It may have been an enemy. It may have been out of your control, but how did you respond to it? And here's really what you do when you place blame. You are saying that you have no control in your life, thus making you out of control. So if you are out of control, that means that offense and bitterness can start to overpower you because you feel useless to change something that's within your power. And when that starts to happen, you start to experience a range of physical, emotional, spiritual behavior. Because you feel you have no control, so why try? Well, I don't have any control, so why should I do this? You have to look at yourself and say, I do have control. I get to control how I respond to that. You are right where you are today because of the choices you made. Has life maybe not been the greatest? Maybe, but you got to choose how you handled the deck of cards that life gave you. How did you play those cards? Did you play a woe is me and a victim mentality and go through life as a miserable, well, they didn't give me this and they didn't give me that and I never had this? You had the choice to make that. You could have made an opposite choice. It's not anybody's fault but yours. It's not a devil's fault. It's not Satan's fault. It's not God's fault. It's not people's fault. It's your fault. You are responsible for certain decisions that you made in the midst of a circumstance. Yes, maybe an enemy did do something. Maybe they never gave you this, but you got to choose how you responded to it. Yes, life happens. There are things out of our control, but you get to determine your tomorrow by the choice you make today. You get to choose if you have grace and mercy. You get to choose whether you forgive them or not. You have the choice whether you move on from your life and make it the best of your ability and use that as fuel to ignite your tomorrow. You get to determine your tomorrow. Nobody else. You can pray for freedom. You can cry to God for freedom until your eyes are swollen red. You could run laps around the church. But that does not change that you're still in control. And see, what we want to do, we want to come to altars, go to God and say, make these changes for us. That's not what God does. The choice is yours. But here's what we do. We think we can live a lifestyle Monday through Sunday, making bad choices, come in on a Sunday and think those bad choices won't ever visit us tomorrow. Doesn't matter how much you pray, doesn't matter how much you shout. You will not override terrible life decisions. You cannot come down to an altar and pray until you can't pray no more for the bad decisions you have made. And hopefully when you get up, they have changed. It does not work like that because life is choice driven. You can get comfort. You can feel better, but ultimately you got to get up and change your mind and make your choices different today for a better tomorrow. You can't praise your way out of those decisions. But that's what we try and do as a church. We think that all these bad decisions we make out there, we can come in here and God zaps them clean. That is not God. You have the choice. You cannot be in debt up to your eyeballs and try to sow a seed that wipes out your debt when you can't manage money. God does not work like that. You cannot have a marriage that's a wreck Monday through Saturday, come in here on a Sunday and pray to God to fix the marriage, but your life choices still are causing your wreckage of a marriage. But that's what we try to do. We try to come in here and plead and beg God for things that our choices have created. Life is choice driven. First Lady, you can come. Life is choice driven. You choose. Choose you this day. Choose you this day. You can choose. God's not choosing it for you. Yes, He has a life ordained for you, a life of abundance, a life of prosperity, but you get to choose it. And people don't want to hear that. They think they can come to an altar, they can pray to God, and hey, my life's magically gone. You still have to reap what you sown. That's the law. And God would be mocked if He voided that law, because that's a law that governs us. The law of sowing and reaping, and He would be mocked if you were able to sow bad, right, come in here on a Sunday and not sow that. Yes. Can God have mercy? Yes. But that mercy does not override years and years and years of terrible life choices that you have sown for. Yes, the blow can be softened, but that doesn't change all of the seeds that got sown into the dirt. I had to do this. I had to do this with someone lately. Their life was nothing but a constant blame. Their life was a constant, well, it's always this pastor's fault. It's always this pastor's fault. It's the people. God's not doing this for me. And Satan's just after me. And they should have never done that to me. And typically I'm really good. I'll patty cake you and I'll encourage you. But at this moment, I kind of had enough with it. And I sent a message that pretty much was this: you have got to take responsibility and stop blaming everything else. Stop blaming them. Stop blaming this. Stop blaming that pastor and that pastor and that pastor. And every single pastor you have, they don't do something right. They're doing this wrong. And, well, these people just don't do that. And I wish that never happened. And I'm just waiting for the... It starts with coming to the understanding that, okay, I should probably take some responsibility for this. I have sown all of these terrible decisions in my life. And now I'm 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and I'm reaping all of this stuff. God is not going to force you to make the decisions of what seeds you sow. God can give you the power to move in a direction and give you guidance on what He wants. But ultimately, the decision is yours. He is not going to force blessings upon your life. He is not going to force curses upon your life. You disobeying the law automatically brings a curse to your life because you can no longer unlock this blessing. Life is choice driven. God will not make it for you, but today He set forth a choice. Life and happiness, life and peace, life and joy. Or do you want curses, chaos, and turmoil? Choose you this day. And whatever you choose, heaven and earth are in agreement. Remember, where 2 or 3 gathered, whether 2 agree, that's where it will be done. Heaven and earth are in agreement. So you choose this day, blessings or curses. And whatever you choose, that law is in effect. And you will sow, you will reap whatever you have sown. And that's the great thing, because God gave us that choice. And if you want a great tomorrow, you can sow for a great tomorrow. You don't need anybody's approval. You don't need anybody's approval. You don't need anybody else's approval. Doesn't matter what they did. Doesn't matter what they did. It does not matter. You get to choose blessings or curses, prosperity or not being prosperous, abundance, having nothing. You choose. Those choices happen with everyday life, both natural and spiritual. Choose you this day. Now, Sunday, we're advancing in this. We're going a step further. But you got to understand this now. God told Israel in Deuteronomy 4 times, you get to choose. Choose you this day. Whatever you choose, it's on you. I want this life, but you can choose that life. And don't always come crying to me for grace and mercy with the things that you have sown. Because I'm a God that honors the law. I have set these principles up at the foundations of this earth, and they will come to pass. You will reap what you harvest, but you get to choose your tomorrow. So maybe you've reaped a life full of chaos and turmoil. That's okay, because you get to choose today what your tomorrow's like. Your past may be a mess. Your past may be just chaos and curses and turmoil and strife and anger and bitterness. But today, you can say, you know what? I want to sow peace. I want to sow grace. I want to sow this. I want to sow a life full of happiness. I want to sow peace. I want to be internally motivated because I can sow what I want my tomorrow to be like. To whereas if I'm externally motivated, I'm always wanting someone to tell me what I should do. Choose you this day. Blessings or curses. You get to choose it. Not God, not a devil, not Satan, not your parents, not grandparents, not anybody else. Old relationships, they don't get to choose it. You get to choose today what your tomorrow looks like. And God will honor it because it's sowing and reaping. First Lady, just play us something for a few minutes. Think about it. Choose you this day. You have the choice. Do you choose curses? Or do you choose blessings? You've got to understand this principle now for us to go where we're going Sunday. Internally motivated, externally motivated. Do I have to have someone pushing me, encouraging me, or can I do it myself with nobody by my side? Choose you this day.